A black man's shopping bag crashes to the pavement as a white couple physically blocks his path in the crowded parking lot. "Move your car now!" Bradley Mitchell shoves James backward, his wedding ring flashing in the sunlight. "People like you don't respect our neighborhood!" Heather circles them, camera raised, capturing every second. "Security! We need security over here!" she screams, deliberately drawing a crowd. James steadies himself, military training evident in his controlled movements. His eyes scan Bradley's company logo, assessment calculations running behind his calm expression. "Sir, I suggest you step back," James warns, voice measured despite the escalation. Bradley lunges forward again, shoving harder. "Or what? You gonna do something about it, boy?" James reaches for his phone, punching in a number from memory. The couple has no idea who they're really attacking or what's about to happen to them. James Collins navigates his modest sedan through the upscale San Diego shopping center. The afternoon sun glints off luxury vehicles lining the rows. At 38, the African-American man moves with quiet confidence, scanning for an open spot to purchase his wife's anniversary gift. He spots an empty space near the high-end watch boutique and signals his turn. Simultaneously, a sleek black SUV speeds from the opposite direction, clearly attempting to claim the same spot. James completes his turn first, parking properly within the lines. The SUV brakes abruptly, horn blaring in protest. Inside the SUV, Bradley Mitchell, 45, slams his palm against the steering wheel. "Did you see that? He just took our spot." His wife, Heather, 43, peers through designer sunglasses at James's car. "Those people always think they own everything," she mutters, adjusting her diamond bracelet. "Let's park over there. I want to have a word with him." Bradley reluctantly parks several spaces away, his luxury vehicle dwarfing the neighboring cars. The couple exits, Bradley straightening the polo shirt embroidered with Mitchell Defense Contractors, while Heather retrieves her phone from an expensive handbag. "Look at him," Bradley whispers, watching James exit his car in jeans and a plain t-shirt. "Probably can't afford anything here anyway." "Record this," he instructs Heather. "People need to see what we deal with in our neighborhood now." James, unaware of the brewing confrontation, locks his car and checks his watch. 3 hours until dinner with Sarah. Plenty of time to find the perfect anniversary gift, the watch she's been admiring for months. "Wait until he walks away from his car," Bradley mutters, a calculated gleam in his eye. "I'll teach him some respect." Heather nods, opening her camera app. Maybe security will make him move it. James walks toward the boutique, mentally reviewing his budget. After 15 years of marriage, Sarah deserves something special. Behind him, Bradley and Heather begin their approach, exchanging knowing glances. The Mitchells have chosen the wrong person to target with their prejudice, and they're about to learn why. "Hey, you!" Bradley's voice cuts through the parking lot noise. "That was our spot!" James turns to find the couple advancing toward him, the woman already filming. He assesses them with a quick sweep. Expensive clothes, aggressive posture, camera deliberately raised. Nothing he hasn't encountered before. "I'm sorry, but I didn't see anyone waiting. I signaled and parked properly," James responds evenly, his voice controlled despite Bradley now standing uncomfortably close. "You people never see anyone else, do you?" Bradley steps closer, forcing James to either back up or stand his ground. James doesn't move. "We were circling that row for 5 minutes. Heather circles to James's side, capturing his face in frame. "This is what we deal with now in Bayview Plaza," she narrates to her phone. "No respect for the rules." A small cluster of shoppers slows to watch the confrontation. No one intervenes. "There are plenty of other spaces," James offers reasonably. "I'm just here to buy something for my wife's anniversary." Bradley snorts. "Anniversary? Right. And I'm sure you can afford the stores here." James notes the logo on Bradley's polo shirt, Mitchell Defense Contractors, and something shifts in his calculation. His eyes narrow slightly. "Sir, I have every right to park here and shop here, James states firmly. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have purchases to make. Bradley steps directly in James's path. No, you don't get to walk away. Move your car. I'm not moving my car, James replies, maintaining eye contact. There's no reason for this confrontation. You hear that? Heather narrates to her camera. Refuses to correct his mistake and now claims we're confronting him. Bradley's face reddens. Do you know who I am? My company has contracts with the government. We provide security systems to the naval base. James's expression remains neutral, but something flickers behind his eyes. Recognition, calculation. Is that Mitchell Defense Contractors? James asks, nodding toward the embroidered logo. That's right, Bradley puffs his chest. Maybe you should think about that before you disrespect me. Interesting, James says quietly, attempting once more to step around the couple. James notices something about Bradley's business credentials that changes his entire approach to the situation. Bradley moves again to block James's path, now deliberately performing for the growing audience and Heather's camera. The parking lot has become an impromptu theater, with James unwillingly cast as the antagonist. I'm not done talking to you, Bradley announces loudly. You need to apologize and move your car now. James stands perfectly still, his posture betraying years of military discipline. Sir, I've already explained that I parked legally. There's nothing more to discuss. There he goes again, Heather narrates to her camera, circling them like a documentary filmmaker. This is how they act when confronted about breaking rules. Always defensive. James takes a measured breath. Mitchell Defense Contractors provide security systems to the naval base, correct? Bradley's expression shifts to smug satisfaction. That's right. We're bidding on a $40 million contract tomorrow. Not that you'd understand the complexity of what we do. A security guard approaches, middle-aged, white, with an air of authority that visibly relaxes Bradley. What's the problem here? The guard asks, immediately turning to Bradley rather than assessing the situation. This man stole our parking space and is being aggressive when asked to move, Bradley explains, gesturing dramatically. We've been loyal customers here for years. The guard turns to James. Sir, I'm going to need to see some ID. On what grounds? James asks calmly. Just standard procedure when there's a disturbance, the guard replies, though no such procedure exists. James complies without argument, retrieving his wallet and handing over his identification. The gathered crowd watches in uncomfortable silence as the guard scrutinizes it longer than necessary. What's your business here today? The guard questions, still holding James's ID. I'm purchasing an anniversary gift for my wife, James replies, his dignity intact despite the public interrogation. Bradley laughs. As if he could afford anything here. Probably just casing the place. The security guard's demeanor shifts slightly upon reading something on the ID, but he maintains his position. Sir, if there's going to be a problem, I can have your vehicle towed. There's no problem, James states. I'm simply trying to make a purchase. Heather zooms her camera in on James's face. Acting so polite now that security's here. Everyone sees through it. The guard reluctantly returns James's ID. Just make your purchase and move along quickly. James accepts his identification, tucking it back into his wallet with practiced precision. His eyes scan the growing crowd, some filming with phones, others looking away in discomfort, no one intervening. Thank you, officer, James says quietly, the words carrying a weight beyond simple courtesy. As the guard steps back, Bradley leans in close. People like you need to learn your place. This isn't your neighborhood. James absorbs the words without visible reaction, though something hardens behind his eyes. Not anger, but resolution. He's endured this before, but something about today feels different. Have a good day, James says finally, stepping around the couple with deliberate care, his shoulders squared and head held high despite the public humiliation. As James walks away, he makes a single phone call that will change everything about this confrontation. James walks to a quiet corner of the parking lot, his outward calm masking the calculations happening behind his focused eyes. He leans against a concrete pillar, takes a deep breath, and centers himself with the practiced technique of a man who has faced far worse than parking lot prejudice. A memory surfaces. James in Bud's training, standing chest deep in frigid ocean water as instructors screamed inches from his face. 23 candidates had quit that day, but James had remained motionless, letting the abuse wash over him like the cold waves. The lesson had been clear. Control your reactions, control the situation. He returns to the present with newfound resolve. This isn't just about him anymore. The Mitchell Defense Contractors logo had triggered something. Professional responsibility overriding personal humiliation. James retrieves his phone and dials a number from memory. Commander Davis? His voice shifts subtly, taking on a crisp military cadence. It's Collins. I have a situation at Bayview Plaza that requires attention. He speaks in measured terms, using terminology that would seem ordinary to eavesdroppers but carries specific meaning to the listener. Yes, sir. Unauthorized harassment of military personnel. Individual identifies as CEO of Mitchell Defense Contractors. James listens intently. Presenting to Admiral Phillips tomorrow? Understood. I'll document everything. Collins out. Across the parking lot, Bradley and Heather Mitchell celebrate their perceived victory, walking arm in arm toward the shops. That went well, Bradley says, adjusting his sunglasses. People need to learn respect. I got most of it on video, Heather replies, already editing the footage on her phone. Should I post it? Absolutely. Just edit out the parts where we called him. You know. Bradley checks his watch. We need to finalize tomorrow's presentation anyway. Big day with the Admiral. Which one is that again? Heather asks, distracted by her editing. Admiral Phillips, the one overseeing the new security contracts. Bradley straightens his polo shirt. $40 million on the line. I've been preparing for months. Meanwhile, James enters the high-end watch boutique, the saleswoman greeting him with a practiced smile that falters when she recognizes him from the scene outside. I'm so sorry about what happened out there, she says quietly. I saw everything from the window. It's fine, James replies with genuine calm. Justice takes many forms. He moves through the display cases with practiced efficiency, examining several watches before selecting one with military precision. This one, please. The Omega Seamaster. While the saleswoman prepares the purchase, James makes another call. Admiral Phillips? Yes, sir. Commander Collins. About tomorrow's presentation with Mitchell Defense Contractors. His voice drops lower, professional and measured. I believe there's something you should know before making your decision. James completes his purchase, signing the receipt with a steady hand. The saleswoman's eyes widen slightly at the name on his platinum credit card. Commander James Collins, USN. Thank you for your service, she says with newfound respect. James accepts the elegantly wrapped package with a genuine smile. Just doing my job, ma'am, in all its forms. The Mitchells have no idea that their victim is directly connected to the very contract that could make or break their company. Bradley and Heather Mitchell stride into the watch boutique, riding the high of their perceived victory. The store's hushed atmosphere and gleaming display cases reflect their sense of entitlement. This is their world, their territory. Their expressions freeze when they spot James at the counter, signing a receipt for what appears to be a significant purchase. The cognitive dissonance is immediate. This man doesn't fit their narrative. Bradley recovers quickly, approaching the saleswoman with practiced confidence. I hope you checked his ID carefully, he says loudly enough for James to hear. The saleswoman straightens, professional smile cooling. Sir, Mr. Collins is one of our valued customers. James continues his transaction without acknowledging the couple, his movements deliberate and unhurried. He examines the watch one final time before the saleswoman places it in a premium gift box. Heather raises her phone again, narrating, Now he's pretending to shop for things he can't afford. The staff here should be more careful. James's phone rings. He answers it with military promptness. Collins here. The conversation that follows is brief but clearly important. James listens intently, offering occasional acknowledgments. Yes, Admiral. I understand completely. I'll see you at 0900 tomorrow for the contract review. Bradley's head snaps up at the word Admiral, his face draining of color. He mouths Admiral to Heather, whose camera slowly lowers. James concludes his call, thanks the saleswoman, and accepts his purchase. As he turns to leave, he walks past the couple without a glance, as if they're completely irrelevant to his world. Bradley follows him several steps, professional instinct overriding his previous disdain. Excuse me, did you say contract review? Are you connected to naval procurement? James pauses, turning slowly to face Bradley. His expression remains neutral, but his eyes have changed, the mask of civilian patience replaced by the direct gaze of a military officer. You had your chance for a civil conversation earlier, Mr. Mitchell? Heather steps forward, her tone shifting to sickening sweetness. We were just concerned about parking rules. Perhaps we got off on the wrong foot. James regards them both for a measured moment. Indeed we did. He continues walking, leaving the couple standing among the luxury watches they can no longer enjoy. Bradley realizes his company's future might hang in the balance because of his behavior. But it's already too late. Outside the boutique, Bradley frantically pulls out his phone, fingers trembling slightly as he types James Collins Navy into the search bar. The results are frustratingly vague. Too many James Collins in military service to identify which one just walked away from him. Nothing definitive, Bradley mutters, scrolling faster. He's probably bluffing, using military jargon to intimidate us. Heather, meanwhile, puts the finishing touches on her edited video. Should I still post this? It makes us look good, standing up to someone taking advantage. Absolutely post it, Bradley decides, convincing himself there's nothing to fear. He's nobody, has to be. No real military officer would be driving that car or shopping alone. With a decisive tap, Heather uploads the video. Entitled man steals our parking spot, then plays victim. Hashtag respect the rules, hashtag Bayview Plaza. Bradley watches the upload complete, doubt creeping in despite his bravado. We should talk to him again. Settle this like adults before he potentially says something to someone. They spot James returning to his car, gift bag in hand. Bradley quickens his pace, Heather following closely behind. Hey, buddy, Bradley calls out, his voice artificially friendly. I think we got off on the wrong foot back there. James turns slowly, keys already in hand. His expression reveals nothing as Bradley approaches with an extended hand. I'm not your buddy, James states plainly. And there's nothing to discuss. Bradley's smile falters but doesn't disappear. Look, if you're really with the Navy, I want to explain our company's position. We're huge supporters of our military. Your position was made very clear earlier, James replies, his tone measured but final. Heather steps forward, phone still in hand. We have video of you being aggressive with us. I've already posted it online. Something dangerous flickers in James's eyes. Not anger, but the calculated assessment of a trained operator identifying a threat. I'm sure you do, he says quietly. Just as I have unedited video from security cameras. He gestures toward the shopping center's surveillance system positioned above them. Bradley's forced smile disappears entirely. Listen, we can work something out. My company offers discounts to military personnel. Perhaps we could discuss... James opens his car door, creating a barrier between himself and the increasingly desperate couple. Your presentation is at 0900 tomorrow. I suggest you prepare accordingly. He slides into the driver's seat and closes the door on their protests, starting the engine with calm precision. As James drives away, 3 black SUVs with military plates pull into the parking lot, heading toward the Mitchells. The rumble of powerful engines draws the Mitchells' attention as 3 identical black SUVs with government plates enter the parking lot in perfect formation. They park with military precision, one directly behind the Mitchells' vehicle, 2 others strategically positioned to block potential exit routes. Bradley tugs at his collar as sweat beads along his hairline. "This can't be related," he whispers, though his voice lacks conviction. His phone vibrates with an incoming call. The screen displays Frank Porter, partner, in bold letters. Bradley answers with forced casualness. "Frank, what's—" His partner's voice explodes through the speaker, loud enough for Heather to hear. "What the hell did you do? The Admiral's office just called. Our presentation tomorrow is being re-evaluated due to concerns about company culture." Bradley's face drains of color. "What? That's impossible. They said something about reviewing evidence of discriminatory behavior by company leadership," Frank continues, panic evident. "Bradley, this is a $40 million contract. What happened?" Heather frantically checks her social media post. In just minutes, it's accumulated dozens of comments, many from military-affiliated accounts. "Do you know who that is? That's Commander James Collins, SEAL Team 6. This company discriminates against military veterans. Boycott Mitchell Defense." "Isn't this the company presenting to the Navy tomorrow?" "Not anymore." "Bradley," Heather whispers, showing him the screen. "We need to delete this now." As she frantically attempts to remove the post, Bradley's phone chimes with an email notification. Subject line, "Urgent. Schedule change for contract presentation." He opens it with trembling fingers, reading aloud. "Due to concerns raised regarding Mitchell Defense contractors, your presentation has been moved up to 1500 hours today. Location changed to Building 14, Admiral Phillips's office." Heather grabs his arm. "Today? That's in 2 hours!" Bradley looks up from his phone to see 4 men in naval uniforms approaching from the SUVs. Their gait is purposeful, expressions professionally neutral. "Bradley," Heather hisses, gripping his arm tighter. "Who is this guy really?" The phone in Bradley's hand buzzes continuously with notifications from business contacts, clients, and employees who have already seen the video. His carefully constructed professional reputation unraveling in real time as the naval officers draw closer. "Mr. Mitchell," one officer calls out, his voice carrying the unmistakable tone of authority. "We need to have a conversation about your upcoming presentation." As uniformed Navy personnel approach, Bradley realizes he's not just facing a contract loss, he's facing the full force of the United States Navy. The naval personnel form a precise semicircle around the Mitchells. Their leader, a stern-faced man with salt and pepper hair and commander's insignia, steps forward. "Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell, I'm Commander Davis, United States Navy Special Operations." Bradley extends his hand automatically. Commander Davis ignores it. "We're here about your interaction with Commander James Collins." "There's been a misunderstanding," Bradley begins, his entrepreneur's instinct scrambling for damage control. "We had a minor disagreement about parking." Commander Davis raises a hand, silencing him. "Commander Collins is a 15-year veteran of the Navy SEALs. Currently, he serves as head of security assessment for Navy contracts." The revelation lands like a physical blow. Heather's phone slips from her fingers, clattering onto the pavement. "Commander Collins was at this shopping center purchasing an anniversary gift for his wife," Davis continues, his voice measured but carrying unmistakable authority. "Tomorrow, he was scheduled to lead the evaluation team for Mitchell Defense Contractors' bid on the $40 million security system upgrade." "Was," Bradley repeats, the single word revealing his understanding of what's at stake. Commander Davis's expression remains impassive. "Recent events have necessitated schedule adjustments." At the Naval Base San Diego, James Collins strides through the main building, now transformed from the civilian they had confronted into the full embodiment of his military rank. His dress uniform bears the unmistakable trident insignia of the SEALs, shoulders adorned with commander's eagles, chest displaying multiple combat decorations including the Silver Star. Personnel stand straighter as he passes, offering respectful nods and "sir" acknowledgments. James navigates the corridors with the familiarity of someone who belongs, entering a secure conference room where Admiral Phillips awaits. "Commander Collins," the Admiral greets him, rising from his chair. "I received your message. Concerning, to say the least. James stands at attention. Sir, I believe in second chances, but I also believe character reveals itself under pressure. The Admiral nods gravely. Agreed. And what we witnessed today reveals much about Mitchell Defense Contractors' leadership. He gestures to a laptop displaying Heather's social media post, now with hundreds of comments and shares among military groups. Their edited version made it online before they realized who you were. Fortunately, we've obtained the shopping center's security footage with audio. I wasn't looking for special treatment, sir, James explains. But when I recognized the company logo and realized they were bidding on security systems, you did exactly right, Admiral Phillips affirms. Security contracts require more than technical specifications. They require character, integrity, and judgment. Qualities clearly lacking in the Mitchells' behavior. Back in the parking lot, Commander Davis continues his briefing as Bradley and Heather process the magnitude of their mistake. Commander Collins has received numerous commendations for valor in combat operations across 3 continents. His assessment recommendations have saved the Navy millions and prevented security breaches. Davis pulls out his phone, displaying a photograph of James in full combat gear with his SEAL team. 2 Congressional Medals of Honor in his unit. Collins is respected throughout special operations. Bradley stares at the image, recognition dawning. The quiet man they had humiliated now revealed as someone of extraordinary capability and influence. The video you posted has been shared by numerous military support groups, Davis informs them. It's drawing significant attention to your company's conduct. Bradley's phone rings again, his company's public relations director undoubtedly calling about the growing crisis. Your presentation has been rescheduled for 1500 hours today, Commander Davis states, checking his watch. Commander Collins will be leading the evaluation team. This is a misunderstanding, Bradley protests desperately. We support our military. My father served in Vietnam. Davis' expression remains unmoved. The unedited security footage suggests otherwise, Mr. Mitchell. He hands them visitor passes to the base. I suggest you prepare your presentation with particular attention to your company's values regarding diversity and respect. The evaluation team will have questions. As the naval personnel return to their vehicles, Bradley turns to Heather, the full weight of consequences settling upon them. We're finished, he whispers. Everything we've built. Heather watches the retreating officers, her social media bravado replaced by genuine fear. Can they do this? Punish our whole company for one incident? They're not punishing us, Bradley realizes, the truth finally breaking through his entitlement. They're evaluating us, and we just failed the first test. The SUVs pull away in perfect formation, leaving the Mitchells standing in the parking lot, the shadow of their actions stretching far beyond a disputed space. As James prepares to evaluate the company that just racially profiled him, the Mitchells realize their entire business hangs on the judgment of the man they humiliated. The Mitchell Defense Contractors' headquarters buzzes with nervous energy. Employees cluster around computer screens, smartphones, and tablets, all displaying the viral video of their CEO and his wife. Is that really Mr. Mitchell? A young software engineer asks, adjusting her glasses in disbelief. That's him, confirms the IT director. And that's definitely Mrs. Mitchell recording. The company's social media manager frantically refreshes the monitoring dashboard, watching negative comments multiply exponentially. It's everywhere. Military groups, veteran forums, defense industry pages, they're all sharing it. The main doors burst open as Bradley and Heather Mitchell enter, their earlier confidence replaced by barely contained panic. Employees scatter, returning to workstations with unusual focus on their screens. Emergency meeting in the main conference room, Bradley announces, his voice strained. All department heads, 5 minutes. The couple rushes toward Bradley's office, but their path is intercepted by Emma Richardson, the company's chief marketing officer. Bradley, what the hell happened? She demands in a harsh whisper. We're trending for all the wrong reasons. Not now, Emma. Bradley attempts to brush past her. She stands firm. Yes, now. The Pentagon has called twice. 2 clients have already emailed about putting contracts on hold. Inside the office, Bradley loosens his tie with trembling fingers. We need damage control. Call PR, call legal. They're already on their way, Heather interrupts, staring at her phone. Bradley, do you realize who that man was? The comments say he has a Congressional Medal of Honor. That can't be right, Bradley mutters, though doubt creeps into his voice. The conference room fills quickly with anxious executives. The tension is palpable as Bradley enters, conversations immediately ceasing. Michael Chen, senior staff engineer, breaks the silence. You do realize Commander Collins has a Congressional Medal of Honor? He led the team that rescued those hostages in Somalia 3 years ago. Bradley stares at him. How do you know this? I served with the Navy before joining Mitchell, Chen replies coldly. Everyone in the military community knows Collins, and now everyone knows how our CEO treated him. Veronica Dawson, VP of Operations, pulls up an article on her tablet. Commander James Collins, decorated Navy SEAL, current head of security assessment for naval contracts. She looks up, eyes sharp. The same contracts we're bidding on. The company lawyer enters, already looking defeated. The video shows clear, discriminatory behavior, Mr. Mitchell. We're legally exposed on multiple fronts. We were arguing about a parking space, Heather exclaims. Bradley approached him first, but I didn't say anything inappropriate. You filmed it and posted it online, the lawyer counters. The unedited security footage is circulating now, too. It includes language that directly contradicts your edited version. Bradley collapses into a chair. This is a nightmare. The HR director clears her throat uncomfortably. This isn't our first incident, Mr. Mitchell. All eyes turn to her. We've had 3 discrimination complaints settled quietly in the past 2 years. All involving you or Mrs. Mitchell, all with non-disclosure agreements. Bradley's face reddens. Those were completely different situations. The pattern is the same, the HR director continues, newfound courage in her voice. And now it's public. At Naval Base San Diego, a team of Mitchell defense engineers sets up their presentation equipment, conspicuously missing their CEO. The lead engineer, Sanjay Patel, adjusts his tie nervously as naval officers file into the room. James Collins enters last, now in his service uniform with commander's insignia clearly visible. His expression remains professionally neutral as he takes his seat at the evaluation table. Mr. Patel, Admiral Phillips begins, I note Mr. Mitchell is not present. Mr. Mitchell is indisposed, sir, Patel explains, sweat beading on his forehead. I'll be presenting our proposal today. Admiral Phillips exchanges a glance with James. Very well. You may proceed. Patel launches into the presentation, his usual confidence undermined by the knowledge of what transpired earlier. His technical explanations remain solid. Mitchell Defense does produce excellent security systems, but the elephant in the room grows larger with each slide. During the question period, James speaks for the first time. Mr. Patel, your technical specifications are impressive. However, I'm interested in how your company addresses security vulnerabilities in human systems. Patel blinks in confusion. Human systems, sir? Yes, James continues, his voice measured. In security, the human element is often the weakest link. How does Mitchell Defense Contractors address prejudice and bias in security protocols and company culture? The room falls silent. Patel struggles to formulate a response that won't further damage his company's chances. We have standard diversity training, sir. James nods thoughtfully. And how effective has that training been at the leadership level? The question hangs in the air, unanswerable. Back at Mitchell headquarters, Bradley's phone rings incessantly. Clients, partners, media, all demanding explanations. The company's stock has dropped 12% since the video went viral. A staff member knocks tentatively on his office door. Sir? There's someone here from the Better Business Bureau and 2 reporters in the lobby. Bradley puts his head in his hands. Tell them no comment. His personal phone buzzes with a text from Frank Porter. Presentation going badly. Collins asking about company culture and leadership. Need you here ASAP. Heather paces the office. We need to make a statement. Apologize publicly. And admit guilt, Bradley snaps. Legal says that would destroy us in the discrimination lawsuits that are sure to come. The truth is already out there, Heather counters, gesturing to her phone where the unedited security footage plays. Their voices clear as day. People like you don't belong here. And worse. The HR director returns with more disturbing news. Staff are finding more background on Collins. He runs a mentoring program for at-risk youth, volunteers with veterans organizations, has received humanitarian awards for his work in disaster zones. Of course he does, Bradley mutters bitterly. And our company's history isn't helping, she continues. Those settlements are being discussed online. Former employees are coming forward with stories. Bradley stands abruptly. I need to get to that presentation. If I explain personally, Sir, the lawyer interrupts, I strongly advise against that. Your presence would only inflame the situation further. This is my company, Bradley shouts, desperation breaking through. Everything I've built is collapsing because of one parking space. The room falls silent before the marketing director speaks up. No, Bradley. It's collapsing because of who you revealed yourself to be over that parking space. At the naval base, the Mitchell defense presentation concludes. Patel gathers his materials, aware of the subdued response from the evaluation committee. Admiral Phillips addresses the room. Thank you, Mr. Patel. Your technical presentation was thorough. However, the Navy requires its contractors to uphold certain standards beyond technical capabilities. James adds, security systems are only as reliable as the people who design and implement them. Character and judgment are essential components of that reliability. As the Mitchell team departs, Admiral Phillips turns to James. Your assessment, Commander? James considers carefully. Their systems are excellent, sir. Their leadership is not. Agreed. Options? We have 3 other qualified bidders, James replies. However, Mitchell employs over 200 people, many of whom are veterans themselves. Canceling their contracts entirely would punish innocent employees for their leadership's failures. The Admiral nods thoughtfully. What do you recommend? Conditional continuation, sir, with significant changes to leadership structure and mandatory oversight of company culture and hiring practices. You're being generous, Commander. James's expression remains steady. This isn't about punishment, Admiral. It's about transformation. As the Mitchell Company presentation falls apart, a different kind of judgment awaits the Mitchells themselves. The Naval Base San Diego conference room has been transformed into a quasi-judicial setting. A long table accommodates 5 senior officers, including Admiral Phillips at center and Commander James Collins to his right. The room's stark military efficiency stands in sharp contrast to the opulent Mitchell Defense Headquarters. Bradley and Heather Mitchell sit uncomfortably across from the panel, their usual confident postures diminished. Bradley's lawyer whispers final advice before falling silent as Admiral Phillips calls the hearing to order. This review concerns allegations of discriminatory behavior by the leadership of Mitchell Defense Contractors. Admiral Phillips begins, his voice carrying decades of command authority. As a federal contractor receiving over $120 million in annual contracts, Mitchell Defense is bound by non-discrimination policies that are non-negotiable. Bradley adjusts his tie. Admiral, if I may. You'll have your opportunity to speak, Mr. Mitchell, the Admiral interrupts. First, we will review the evidence. A large screen displays the unedited security footage from the shopping center. The Mitchells' confrontation with James plays out in high definition, including every racial slur and derogatory comment. Bradley stares at the table while Heather visibly winces at her recorded voice. Next comes Heather's edited social media post, followed by the original recording from her phone. the stark differences between the two highlighting their deliberate attempt to misrepresent the incident. "It was a misunderstanding about a parking space," Bradley offers weakly when the footage ends. Admiral Phillips' expression remains impassive. "Commander Collins is one of our most decorated officers. He's led missions that have saved countless American lives. Yesterday he was shopping for his wife's anniversary gift before evaluating your company's bid for a $40 million security contract." The implication hangs heavily in the air that Bradley and Heather had, through pure prejudice, potentially jeopardized national security interests. A female captain at the table speaks. "Mitchell Defense Contractors currently holds federal contracts worth approximately $120 million annually. All federal contractors must comply with non-discrimination policies as outlined in Executive Order 11246. Another officer adds, "Violations can result in termination of all existing contracts and debarment from future federal contracting." The color drains from Bradley's face as the full stakes become clear. Not just one contract, but his entire company hangs in the balance. James, who has remained silent throughout, finally speaks. "Admiral, may I address the Mitchells directly?" Admiral Phillips nods his approval. James turns to face the couple, his expression neither vindictive nor angry, but measured and purposeful. "Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell, I don't want your company destroyed. I want it transformed." Bradley looks up, surprised by the direction. "Mitchell Defense employs over 200 people, many of them veterans," James continues. "Your security systems protect American assets and personnel worldwide. That mission is too important to disrupt entirely." He slides a document across the table. "These are conditions under which your company's contracts could continue." Bradley reads silently, his expression shifting from relief to dismay. "Mandatory company-wide diversity training, a new hiring program specifically for veterans, external oversight of HR practices for the next 5 years," James enumerates, "and the resignation of both of you from leadership positions." "That's outrageous," Bradley protests. "You can't force us out of our own company." Admiral Phillips interjects, "These are generous terms, Mr. Mitchell. The alternative is complete termination of all contracts and potential debarment from future government work." Heather, more pragmatic than her husband, grasps the reality first. "Bradley, he's right. We can keep the company alive this way." "The company is mine," Bradley insists, desperation edging his voice. "I built it from nothing." "And now you can save it," James responds calmly, "by recognizing that leadership requires accountability." The room falls silent as Bradley weighs his options. Finally, deflated, he reaches for a pen. "Where do I sign?" As the Mitchells formalize their agreement to step down, James watches with no triumph in his expression, only the quiet satisfaction of justice served with precision rather than vengeance. "The uniform I wear stands for justice and equality," James states as they complete their signatures. "Today we've moved one step closer to those ideals." As the Mitchells sign away their company leadership, James receives an unexpected message that suggests this story is far from over. The ripple effects of the Mitchell case spread through the defense contracting industry with unexpected speed and force. What began as a parking lot confrontation transforms into a catalyst for systemic change, the concentric circles of influence expanding outward with each passing week. News networks run special reports with headlines like "Defense Contractor Faces Consequences for Discrimination" and "Navy Demands Accountability from Contractors." Industry publications dive deeper, analyzing the implications for corporate culture throughout the military-industrial complex. In conference rooms across the country, nervous executives review their diversity policies and company practices. The message from the Pentagon is clear. Character matters as much as technical capabilities. At Mitchell Defense Contractors, the transformation begins immediately. The company's board of directors appoints Dr. Amina Jackson, a former Air Force colonel with a PhD in organizational psychology, as interim CEO. Her first official act is addressing the entire company. "We rebuild from here. she announces to a room of uncertain faces. Not by burying our past mistakes, but by learning from them. Former employees who had left due to the toxic environment begin coming forward, sharing stories that had previously been silenced through settlements and NDAs. What emerges is a pattern of behavior extending far beyond one parking lot incident. The Naval Procurement Office institutes new evaluation criteria for all defense contractors, emphasizing ethical leadership and inclusive practices alongside technical specifications. Admiral Phillips personally oversees the implementation of what insiders nickname the Collins Protocol. Other branches of the military follow suit, recognizing that the quality of security systems depends on the quality of the organizations that create them. Military procurement officers receive additional training on evaluating company culture during the bidding process. James leads several of these sessions, never mentioning the Mitchell incident specifically, but emphasizing a core principle. Character is revealed under pressure. Bradley and Heather Mitchell are shown clearing out their offices, employees watching silently as security escorts them from the building they once ruled. Their personal belongings fit into surprisingly small boxes, a visual reminder of how quickly power can dissipate. The industry press reports that 5 other defense contractors have proactively implemented reforms similar to those required of Mitchell Defense, hoping to avoid similar situations. An industry-wide task force forms to address systemic bias in hiring, promotion, and company culture. James finds himself reluctantly becoming the face of this transformation. A military publication requests an interview, asking what motivated his measured response to such blatant discrimination. "This was never about one parking spot or one company," he explains, his words carefully chosen. "It was about upholding the standards we claim to defend. Security isn't just about technology, it's about integrity." At the naval base, a new generation of procurement officers studies the Mitchell case. They learn to look beyond specifications and price points to evaluate the character of the companies seeking to protect America's interests. Headlines continue to emerge. Mitchell Defense reports improved employee retention under new leadership, and defense industry sees surge in veteran hiring following Mitchell reforms. The parking space that started it all remains ordinary and unremarkable, just another spot in a shopping center lot. But its ripple effects continue to spread, changing systems that once seemed immutable. 6 months after the incident, James receives an unexpected request that will test his commitment to transformation rather than punishment. Evening light filters through the windows of James Collins' home as he fastens the Omega Seamaster around his wife Sarah's wrist. The watch gleams against her skin, a perfect fit, just like their 15 years of marriage. "It's beautiful," Sarah whispers, admiring how the light plays across the face. "Worth all the drama?" James smiles, the memory of that day now softened by time and perspective. "I'd say so." Sarah studies her husband's expression. "You could have destroyed them completely, you know. One word from you and their company would have lost everything." "Destruction is easy," James replies, adjusting the clasp. "Transformation is harder, but more lasting." They settle into comfortable silence, the kind built through years of understanding. James has told Sarah everything about the incident, the confrontation, the humiliation, and the resolution that followed. The doorbell interrupts their moment. James checks his watch, brow furrowing. "We're not expecting anyone, are we?" He opens the front door to find Bradley and Heather Mitchell standing awkwardly on his porch. 6 months have changed them. Their designer clothes replaced by more modest attire, their expressions humbled rather than entitled. A tense moment passes before James steps back. "Come in." The couples sit in the living room, the atmosphere thick with unspoken history. Bradley clears his throat. "We've been through the training programs," he begins, eyes fixed on his clasped hands. "All of them. I didn't think I needed them. I was wrong." Heather nods. "We came to apologize in person. No cameras, no audience, just human to human." James listens silently, assessing their sincerity with the same precision he once used to evaluate threats in combat zones. "I never saw myself as prejudiced," Bradley continues, finally meeting James's gaze. "I had black friends, colleagues. I hired minorities, but I had to face ugly truths about myself, biases I didn't recognize until they were played back for me." "The hardest battles we fight are with ourselves," James observes quietly. Heather explains their journey: therapy sessions, community service hours, difficult conversations with people they'd hurt. "We're different people now, or trying to be." "The company is thriving under Dr. Jackson's leadership," Bradley adds. "Better than it did under mine, if I'm honest. They're developing new security protocols that account for human bias in threat assessment." He hesitates before continuing. "I've applied to return. Non-leadership role, entry-level position, using my technical skills without the authority I abused." James considers this. "That's not my decision. But second chances must be earned, not given." The Mitchells nod, understanding the distinction. They don't ask for forgiveness or absolution, just acknowledgement of their effort to change. As they prepare to leave, Bradley turns back. "Commander Collins, thank you. Not for sparing our company, but for forcing us to see ourselves clearly. It's been painful, but necessary." James and Sarah watch from the doorway as the Mitchells drive away in a modest sedan, a far cry from their luxury SUV of 6 months ago. "Do you think they've really changed?" Sarah asks, leaning against her husband's shoulder. "Time will tell," James replies, "but they're facing their failures instead of hiding from them. That's where transformation begins." His phone rings, a call about the military diversity initiative he now leads alongside his regular duties. The program helps procurement officers recognize and address bias in contracting decisions, ensuring that character counts as much as capabilities. Later that week, James stands before a class of young naval recruits, his commander's uniform crisp as he delivers a lecture on integrity under pressure. "True strength isn't measured by power over others," he tells the attentive faces before him, "but by mastery over yourself." The recruits take notes, unaware that this wisdom was forged not just in combat zones, but in a parking lot confrontation, where one man's restraint proved more powerful than another's rage. If you felt that surge of satisfaction watching karma unfold, hit that subscribe button now to join our community of justice seekers. Smash that like button if you believe in standing up against discrimination. Remember, every new subscriber helps us bring more stories of accountability to light.
This isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of what happens when truth meets visibility. At Beat Stories, we believe exposure is the first step to transformation. Subscribe and stay tuned, because the next story might be yours.